Hello, everybody. It is week 5. Last week we talked about the ancient cultures of Egypt, Mesopotamia, the Indus River Valley, and this week we are diving into some of the art. Now, remember, all the stuff we talk about here is just the briefest of things. So when you start deep diving it on your discussion post, feel free to expand, grow, and or deep dive the stuff we actually talk about. So when we look at ancient art, it starts with pottery. You can see stuff were made out of clay, stone, metal, and it was that first canvas, that first little expression where they can carve into the different soft clays or the heated metal and then allow it to shape into things that we see before us on this page. Metallurgy was just starting in the ancient times thanks to people realizing how to forge the metal, how to work it, what temperatures they need, and how to get it there. One thing with the Indus River Valley that we see a lot is down here at the bottom, the seals. So it was more of like a stamp, a passport type of thing that allowed people to kind of showcase what they wanted in trades or kind of like their calling mark. And it was that major point allowing the traders to get from place to place and prove their worth, prove what they can do. You can see the different pottery with the paintings, with the carvings. That was just, once again, what they saw, what they wanted, and all of it during the ancient time dedicated to the gods. We'll see art time and time and time again, always going back to the gods and goddesses of the era. Buildings. I'll see if you can move, or I'll just minimize that. There we go. The buildings had the different levels. So ziggurats is Mesopotamia, the ancient time period and Indus River Valley. Once again, I like to call them like the ancient churches, ancient mosques, ancient temples. That's where they went to pray. That's where they went to worship. That's how they decided what they wanted to do for the gods. You can see the multiple levels. These were the first, I don't want to call them skyscrapers because they're not as tall as the pyramids, which are the first skyscrapers, but they were the first buildings that went above the earth and well above the earth. You can see how big those ramps are. You can just see the dedication they put into it. Ishtar Gate, this blue thing right there. It's the gateway to Babylon. It's one of the many gates of the city. Most ancient cities had a giant wall around. It was of that extra layer of protection. It was that way of trying to showcase their strength and their might in it. The Ishtar Gate was built around 575 BCE and it's 38 feet tall. So it wasn't just this little fence gate, it was pretty big. It was dedicated to the goddess Ishtar, and you can see with the different coloring and the many animals on it, once again, the goddess shown throughout. And probably the biggest form of ancient architecture, which is a form of ancient art, are those pyramids. The pyramids of Giza are the famous three ones right there. And they are the true skyscrapers. They just towered well above anything else. You can see Khufu's pyramid in the middle there being the tallest building for 3,800 years. So it was something that constantly dominated that landscape. Those pyramids were tombs and dedicated to different gods and goddesses, hoping the pharaohs could pass to the afterlife and survive there. Egypt, when it looked at its art, all about perfection. That's what I really want you to understand is the art of ancient Egypt and probably in these other places as well didn't show humans as they looked. They showed them in that perfect world scenario. Everything was just right. They had the right amount of muscles, right amount of length, right amount of jaw shape. It was that constant perfection, and they showed it as the gods, which makes sense. They're going to make the gods as godlike as possible. But it was also in the art they showed it as humans. Now, those of you who've taken my middle school class learned that in Akhenaten's time period, for a brief 18 years when Akhenaten ruled, he changed all of that and gave artists the freedom to paint and carve how they actually saw the people. And with him, he had some deformities and it showed through the art. So that really freaked everybody out back then. And so let's go back. That's basically all I wanted to really touch on with the ancient art. It's that clay, it's that stone, it's those metal pieces, it's those buildings. Works of literature, which fall into art as well, could be the Epic of Gilgamesh, the pyramid texts, some of those writings that we might not fully translate, fully understand, but are still there. So as you work through your discussion post this week, make sure to fully explain yourself and what type of art you want to talk about. Find those sources to help back up the evidence, and then comment on others. If you need help, feel free to email. Otherwise, have fun and good luck.